Well, are you ready? First turn kill Tearlament. This got multiple tops in the Duelist Cup 100, top 100 that is. You're gonna be burning for 100 damage for each banished monster. Well, what enables this? The Fairy Tale Snow. Now, the problem with being a first turn kill deck is we are going second. So how do we first turn kill going second? Let's go.
There can only be one winner, and you're looking at it. Let's go.
Starting this off, we have Scareclaw. Now, being a first turn kill deck, we're much less likely to be playing any hand traps because we want to focus heavily on just every card helping us first turn kill. Now, even though we don't have hand traps, anything that would help us first turn kill is considered to be gas. So if we have a ton of gas in our hand, we could maybe just break through a ton of disruptions and just perform the first turn kill going second. Now, is this a gassy hand? Hovness could chain to a monster on field to mill 3 off the top of the deck. The Weiss could put the Wolf on top of the deck to then mill it and summon it, so that's also good. The Reasoning, if that turns into a big fat mill, that's going to be huge. We have normal summon Fairy Tale Snow, which could flip a monster face down to at least go even with the Baron de Fleur. If they do not set up something like a Sprite Elf to make the Baron de Fleur untargetable, that is. The Phalanx could banish a monster, the Baron de Fleur can negate anything, the Little Knight could banish a monster, and then in the back row, the Primera and Trudea, they're definitely sisters, right? They're going to special summon and then make a Crimson Dragon into a Blazar Dragon, which will be able to negate anything, even a summon. This is a solemn freaking judgment. And from the graveyard, we have no other disruption, so let's see if we could break it. Begin. Double Fairy Tale Snow, that is not ideal. Now, Snow on summon, as I said, going even with that Baron de Fleur. Flip that full face down, at least attempt to do so. Chain the Hovness to the Baron de Fleur as we're going to summon and mill 3. We could randomly mill another Tearlament, which the only other Tearlament we could mill here would have to be a Sharon. Milling the Rhino would not be beneficial. So there we go, summoning from the back row to trigger the field spell. We did mill 3, and now we could at least trigger our Felice. Felice is going to be rebornable, and then the Felice on field could pop a card in the field to then mill 3. So in all this happening right now, the Primera is also searching. That's not a form of disruption. Let's reborn as they perform their Synchro Summon. Now, you do not want to leave the Lightsworn player into an open game state. You want to keep on activating, toggle on, summon that Crimson Dragon, and then you're going to be targeting your Baron de Fleur or your Auxilla to make your Dragon Synchro play, which is going to be the Blazar Dragon. Just like that, we have that Omni Negate ready. Now, are we not going to be able to activate the Felice as it's going to get banished off the field with the Phalanx? We're going to declare a level with the Reasoning to then mill cards off the top of the deck until we have a monster that's normal summonable to then special summon it. Blazar is negating. We're not done. We still have Weiss. Weiss put the Wolf on top, and then the Wolf is going to be milled. And we also randomly milled a Sharon. We are popping off with our Tearlament play. We're going to be using the Little Knight to reset the negate on Baron de Fleur, so when it comes back next turn, or I should say in the end phase, it will be able to negate again. As the Wolf is here, Wolf and Weiss are now making Minerva. Minerva on summon is going to get popped by the Ogre. Now, why would you want to pop the Minerva? It's got 2 effects. On Synchro, send Lightsworns with different types from the deck to the graveyard, but even better, you banish 4 Lightsworns from your graveyard to mill 4 cards. So we are now not milling 4 due to that Ghost Ogre play. Let's go. And what happened to the Hovness getting banished by Little Knight actually screwed up the Sharon fusion, because Sharon had nothing else to fuse into. In order to fuse with the Sharon, we had to have a Tearlament plus an Aqua. We had the Tearlament, we did not have an Aqua monster in addition, as the Hovness was the only other card, so that trigger on Sharon, very unfortunate. We're now going to use Weiss to reborn Minerva back onto the field, so we will in fact be able to banish up to 4 cards. We're going to banish 1, 2, 3, 4, mill 4. We're going to be activating the Fairy Tale Snow, banishing 7 cards from the hand, field, or grave to come forth and summon and trigger the Necroface to banish 5 cards off of both players' decks, as we're now going to make a Lina. Lina, steal a light monster from the opponent's graveyard. Thank you very much. As we now make a Minerva. Minerva will mill 3. 3 cards off the top of the deck here, triggering our Wolf, as we now have a Charge Light Brigade to mill 3 and add any Lightsworn from the deck to the grave. We have our second copy of the Necroface in grave. Lightsworn Dragonling, special summonable if we have a Lightsworn in the graveyard, and then we send a Lightsworn from the deck to the grave, sending a Raiden. If we could reborn it, it's going to mill 2 cards off the top of the deck. We have Curious, made with 3 different types of the same attribute. We're going to send from the deck to the grave a Tearlamy Kashtira to mill 2, and then mill an additional 3, mill 5 total, just like that. Get milling. We now have a Kaldo in the graveyard to shuffle 3 cards. Whoa, did you time out? No! You don't have the link for that gets boosted per banished card to lethal over the Little Knight, right? Don't we have game? Shouldn't we have enough cards to banish for that? We're going to be looking it up. Right after this, we're going to hop on the next door. I'm going to see if it's even in their extra deck. Game 1 going to EPQ. You don't have it. That's the problem. I think that you should definitely be playing that card. Sharon, discard a monster to mill 3 cards off the top of the deck. Now that we have a Lightsworn in the grave, we can special summon the Dragonling to then send a Felice in the deck to the grave, any Lightsworn we want, triggering her effect to reborn from the grave as we then make a Minerva. Minerva is going to mill 3 per Lightsworn milled. We're going to draw that many cards. We milled 1 Lightsworn, draw 1, Tearlamy Grief, special summon from the deck, Hovness, and then send it to the grave just like a Foolish Burial to then trigger the effect to then fuse into a Kit Kalos. Kit Cal is here on summon, search, or send from our deck a Tearlamy card. Tier Cash is going to mill 2, as we then use Kit Cal to reborn the Tier Cash to mill 8 more cards. We also, through the random mill, milled our Weiss to then reborn a second Felice, and now we have the mill 8 combo right here, right now, with 25 cards left in our deck. Mill 3, mill 5, now 17 cards. Lightsworn Dragonling, search in our deck for a Punishment Dragon. If we have 4 different Lightsworn names banished, we can then special summon the Punishment Dragon. We now have Lina with no light monster in the opponent's graveyard, but this is a good way to make our Selene. As we Foolish our Wolf into the graveyard from the deck, you can't do that with Felice, it must be sent through a monster effect, as we then make a Minerva. Minerva send 2 different monster types of Lightsworns from the deck to the grave, to then reborn the Wolf sent from the deck to the grave, as we then turn the Felice and Wolf into a Dugaris, which could reborn from the graveyard or draw 2, then discard. We are going for the draw 2 discard play, as we then Minerva, banish 4 cards from the graveyard, mill 4 with 7 cards left, triggering the Sharon to come forth and fuse into a Rukalos to now counter something like a Nibiru. As we then special summon our Punishment Dragon and turn both of them into a zombie vampire with 8 cards left in our deck, mill 4 cards for both players, as we then reborn our Tearlament Rhino, sending from the deck a Hovness, 3 cards left in our deck. As we now make a Selene Navidad with at least 3 spells in both players' graveyards, we're going to be gaining at least 3 counters. As you then turn all of this into a super thick 4-material Apollo USA, Selene Navidad remove 3 counters to then reborn from the grave the Lightsworn Lumina, the Twilight Sworn to then banish from the grave a Lumina, to then discard a card to reborn from the grave a Weiss, triggering the Twilight Lumina to mill 3 cards off the top of the deck to then trigger the Felice to reborn from the graveyard, as you then make an Arrow Shark. Arrow Shark will deal 100 per banished card. So we're going to chain our Fairy Tale Snow to the effect of the Arrow Shark multiple times. We're making the Vsauce Amatera, as we then, right now, detach to burn for just 400, but that's not enough, so we're going to keep on chaining the Fairy Tale Snow again, even if it's the same copy of Fairy Tale Snow, the same one could keep on banishing. Looks like we have 1,800 damage here, which is what we're going to be going through with. Now, that of course is not enough for lethal, but we are going to continually recycle the Arrow Shark. Let's do it again. Selene Navidad, gain up to 3 counters, reborn from the grave, Twilight Lumina, banish the Light Lumina, reborn the Light Lumina, as we then make the Arrow Shark again. Arrow Shark, detach, chain Fairy Tale Snow. Now we're going to be dealing how much damage here? 2,500 damage at least, 2,500, as we then make Selene again, up to 3 counters. This not being hard once per turn, a huge mistake. Fairy Tale Snow also existing, a huge mistake. As we're then banishing the Light Lumina again, Kaldo recycle, because it looks like we're out of Arrow Sharks. We don't have any more left in the extra deck, as we return the only 2 we play back in the extra deck to make it again. Arrow Shark is here. We are top tier. Banishing the graveyard to burn for how much damage here? It's going to be per monster banished, so 2,900 damage, triggering double Necroface, banishing cards off of the opponent's deck also, as we then make a Selene Navidad, reborning from the grave, Twilight Lumina, banish Light Lumina, reborn the Light Lumina, to then make our 4th and final copy of Arrow Shark. That's right, 4 copies, burn for 2,900 damage for game. Yes. 1 in 1. Now, This deck's not a meme. All right, this is not a meme. This is actually real. Okay, if we look on Master Meta, Arrow Shark, look at that, top 100 Duelist Cup. Top 100 Duelist Cup, second place of a tournament. This is a real deck. Now, you can see the balance has affected the deck through the field spell being banned, but the deck is very much still definitely playable. I even played it on stream recently. It's a lot of fun. Let's get to it. Let's do it. Game number 3. Now, the Ogre. The problem with Ogre, if you're playing first turn kill, is you have to summon the monster to where Selene points to. So if you Ogre pop Selene, there's no summon. That's quite devastating, because I was talking about if you negate Selene, you could still use Selene to make another Selene, but destroying Selene and stopping her effect from even resolving correctly, that is definitely going to be a big play within this duel. All right. What is happening here? Chaos Angel was made with a light and dark, thus synchro monsters are unaffected by monster effects completely, and none of the monsters can be destroyed by battle. We still take battle damage though, so if we could make the Zero Boros, make it super large and attack over Little Knight, that would be a potential play. They do have a negate anything with reframing, and they have dissipate or negate a monster if a card is banished from the opponent. We have the Baron to Floor negate anything. We have banish with a Little Knight. We then have Fenrir banish a card on the field after a monster effect. This is not looking good for first turn kill going second, in addition to all that having an Ash Blossom and an Ogre, which I already talked about, the well-timed Ogre on Selene. Let's go. Fairy Tale Snow is going to be trying to affect the only monster that we can affect, as the Little Knight is going to banish that Fairy Tale Snow off the field. You go. And now we're going to Vector Blast mill 2 cards off the top of the deck. That was not ideal. Reasoning is going to get Ash Blossom negated. Now, if you activated Reasoning first and it resolved, it literally would have just milled 1 monster. Yeah. Well, we do have Dragonling attempting to activate, as the Fairy Tale Snow is going to be returned back in the deck to negate the effect of the Dragonling, and it is a hard once per turn. Felice cannot be normal summoned. Ideally, you'd want a Weisswood Felice, put it back on top of the deck, mill it, then summon it, then pop a card, then mill 3. So at least we got to see a first turn kill in a tournament. Thank you very much, EPQ, with the win. Let's keep on going. Citadel Endymion into the void. We're going to be chaining Maxi. We got double finger for that Maxi. I don't think so. Negate the Maxi. Now, the Magical Citadel is normally not played in Endymion, so this should be quite interesting. Every time a spell card is activated, put a spell counter onto the field spell, and then it's just going to hold a bunch of spell counters that we could remove with something like our Endymion. But boy, did that suck. That was not what Endymion was supposed to do. That's card destruction, destruct our hand, discard 4, draw 4, let's freaking go. Meta Noise is going to attempt to add back the Tearlament Rhino, that is, add it to the hand, as we're going to finger it instead. Now we could follow up Sharon, discard the Tear Cache, and then mill an additional 3. We have not used up our normal summon. Mill 3, mill 2, trigger the Trick Clown reborn from the graveyard, as we're going to have a better mill with this mill 2, because this was not good enough. Well, what we could do now is with the Trick Clown and Sharon, make a Time Thief Redoer. We also have Transaction Rollback, copying the effect of Needlebug Nest to mill an additional 5 cards. This is because the field spell got banned. People are now coping with Transaction Rollback, and I think it's a good cope. It actually works quite well. We have the Horus field spell now in our hand through the effect of the Rainbow Bridge. Rainbow Bridge is a card that may get banned in the future. As we search for our Horus, discard the additionally added Crystal Beast to then search our deck for the King Sark. Reborn from the graveyard because the field spell is considered to be a King Sark, and we're actually going second, so we don't have to make any Time Thief Redoer, Kick Cal, mill even more cards play. Just go in for game. Damn. We are again opening up with the Magical Citadel, which normally is not played in the deck. Upstart Goblin, grabbing the Cerberus. Cerberus is going to be popping itself to grab from the deck a Jackal King. As we then activate a card that I'm not familiar with, the Mythical Beast Bashi. What the heck is that? Returning an extra deck monster back to then draw a card, sure. Jackal King is going to pop itself to special summon the Basilisk onto the field. Masquerena can go into Little Knight for a double banish play, as we then set up our Mythical Beast Jackal from our hand into the back row with the Celine Abida. We could Reborn from the graveyard a Spellcaster, but where do Pendulums go when they leave the field? They go to the extra deck. So to get a monster into the graveyard to Reborn with Celine, you either have to discard the Pendulum from the hand or make an Xyz. You can make the rank 7 Xyz, then get it into the graveyard. It's now in the grave, then it's Rebornable. Now, did we waste the Celine? The Celine is still activatable during the opponent's turn. Now, why does that matter? There's no Spellcaster to Reborn. Well, the Mighty Master will negate a spell, then return itself back to the hand, and then Celine could summon it from the hand back in the field during the opponent's turn to negate again. And then we also have the Magister of Endymion. During the opponent's turn, remove 3 spell counters from your field, special summon a monster from your deck that you placed a counter on. Okay, that's not, oh, well, that could summon a Reflection. Reflection could then spin a card back. So that is another form of disruption. We have Spell and Trap card negate, Spell and Trap card negate, Spell and Trap card negate, Monster negate, spin back mate, banish at Little Knight, banish at Little Knight. This is about 7 disruptions to deal with. Let's go. Max C, preemptively. Tearlament Sharon, get into the graveyard, the Destretto, mill 3. Destretto, Reborn from the grave to make a level 7 Synchro potentially. Normal summon the Jen Diamond Tiger as we then make a Little Knight on summon to banish a monster off the field. We are under the Maxi. Jen is now going to special summon a Ken from your hand or deck to your opponent's field. We're going to use the Jackal King to negate. The Ken would have made it so we would have drawn 2 and discard. We have triple tactics, talent, attempt to draw 2, Endymion, Mighty Master, negate. We have another negate, and then we have Celine, Reborn the negate back in the field from the hand. So triple spell and trap card negate. Let's hop into game number 3. Jen summon from the deck, and now what did this just turn off? If the opponent has an impermanence, it's no good. They would have to imperm the Jen, whether they want to or not. Now if they top deck an impermanence, it's also not going to be good. Now, what did we pull off here? We pulled off quite a lot, as we have the Masquerena into a double Little Knight banish. We have the special summon negate with Rukalos. We have Daruma, which could flip the whole field face down. And what's crazy about the Happy just being on the field here, it puts you on the clock of you have to win this turn, because if you deal with the field in any way that's not the Happy, which is not threatening you, the Happy is going to return 2 cards that are banished or in the graveyard back to the hand. So this pretty much guarantees you lose next turn, and if you attack into it, it's going to non-target send you to the graveyard at the start of the damage step with the King Sark. Are you ready? Begin. Jackal triggering the Scream, which could have randomly milled a transaction rollback into the Eradicator. We're now going to Fairy Tale Snow, flip a card in the field face down, get flipping before you can link it up, as we now set up with the Servant of Endymion, which will very simply be banished by a Little Knight. Yup. Link it off, which also resets the Fairy Tale Snow to be summoned again to flip another card in the field face down. Goodbye to the Endymion, as we then set up the Magister of Endymion and end our turn, because there is nothing we could do. Skipping the draw phase due to the effect of Dugar's triggering the Scream, mill 3 off the top of the deck, trigger to mill an additional 2. Grief will also target a banished trap to add it back to our hand. Come to us, Sulliek, which you could banish with Fairy Tale Snow, then grab back. Off the top of the deck, 2 left arm offerings here. Where's our transaction rollback? I want to see the Eradicator. We have Dark stealing from the opponent's graveyard. The Endymion Mighty Master is now mine. As we Reborn from the grave, our Horus, but boosted up to 3,600 attack. We have over 16,000 damage on the field. Holy moly, it just like that. Horus Tearlament with some other tricks up its sleeve to play around the fact that their main field spell, Tearlament field spell, has been banned. Definitely is still a great deck.